to see you all. Thanks for coming in. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So I will first thank Brandon Daniels, the CEO of Exiger, and Alex Panas, who is a senior partner at McKinsey and Company. Brandon, you have 550 global organizations that you advise, and I know on anything from supply chain management and optimization to numerous other challenges. So just out of curiosity, what is the number one concern that your clients are asking you to help them think about, help them solve?
Well, the one thing that's good in terms of our vantage point is we deal with both the private and the public sector. So we get to see what the policymakers are thinking and get early insight into how surgical tariffs might be, or what kind of incentives they're trying to drive. And it's interesting because I sit in meetings in the World Economic Forum and I hear things like, there's no economic rationale to any of these moves. And I know the economic rationale. While we're still assessing what the what the issues might be or what the tariffs might be, it's too early to say something in response or retort. But my corporate customers, in a vein, what they want to know is, what are the regulators going to do? What is the administration going to do? And then what is going to be the volley back, right? So, over the last month, we've had, or actually 2 months, we've just had a flood of new customers asking us to map their supply chains and to do tariff analysis. And so that is certainly the number one issue. And then China volleys over the antimony, gallium, and germanium export control bans, right? And everyone wants to know, what other products do we have? What parts do we have? What systems are compromised if we don't have access to these, right? And because our software breaks down not just the supply chain and the suppliers and how they make things, but actually breaks down the composition of the actual parts and components, we can tell you that, for instance, antimony is in over 11,000 parts in the defense industrial base and is connected to hundreds of systems. And is critical to almost 100. So it's the fact is that these export and tariff moves, they're weaponization of trade, and people want to know, at what point does it stop and start to get to a deal? And that's the number one thing that our customers and our partners are thinking about right now.
So I know that essentially you have AI literally in every part of the supply chain, meaning you just told us about products and then you told us about components.
Yes.
So that's extremely detailed.
Yes.
On numerous levels. Out of pure curiosity, how long did it take you to build what you have to be able to have that kind of insight?
Yeah. It's been a solid 10 years of technology build and hundreds of millions of dollars of investment to get to the point where we've made enough mistakes to know how to do it right? And so, there are different AI models that help you to do different things. It's not just how long and how much you've spent, but we've had to go out and find the best in the world companies and acquire them. And we've done 5 acquisitions in 2 years alone. Like, we bought this great company that all they do is build out what parts are made of, so it can tell you, like, down to the atomic level, what a product is made of, what a part is made of, what a chemical is made of, right? And we bought that from, actually it was a spin out from Cambridge AI Lab. And so it is a huge effort, and it's a constantly evolving effort, and it's one that actually has blossomed for us with the advent of so many competing models.
Yeah, when I think about all the, it's almost down to the atom.
That's right.
That you're able to see.
That's right.
And this is a great example, right? Because if you think about this, we're kind of in this beginning of what we'd say the third inning of AI is, right? So inning 1 was clearly, what is this thing, right? Where is it, right? What is it? Inning 2 was, let's go do a bunch of experiments, right? And now most of our CEOs are sitting there and going, where's the ROI? And this is actually a very clear, concrete use case example of ROI, right? Where you could not do this, right? It's also an example where I, as a company, don't actually need to go build this myself. Somebody has actually gone and done the 10 years of hard work to get there, where it gives me the ROI. So we're seeing more of these examples now where our clients are looking at it and saying, where can I actually get to fundamental processes that I can use AI to actually disrupt, right, or create advantage. And this is a great example of it.
But I like also what you showed us in the evolution of how business leaders are seeing AI. So the experimentation was the baby phase, and now we're towards the ROI. So if we were in a baseball game,
Yeah.
what inning are we in, Alex?
I think we're in 3 probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hit 3. Still no time.
But baseball goes on for a long, long time.
Yeah. I guess I'd agree that we're in the third inning, but I don't know if we're in the third inning because of the evolution or maturity of the technology. I think we're in the third inning because of the maturity of the deployment. And it's really there that we want to get our customers to, because then you're driving ROI. We become the only platform that can show you risk, increase resilience, and reduce cost, but do it at a level that humans can adopt. It has to be simple, 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 simple.
So what we're seeing is the technology is not the bottleneck anymore, and it's only getting better.
Yeah.
And in many ways, it's only getting more ubiquitous, right? And the cost is coming down. All these great things are happening. So Peter Drucker used to say, basically, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Well, people and processes eat technology for lunch.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the issue, right? This is fundamentally how do folks think about rewiring the corporation? Because what you're getting to is, I can give you the great Gen AI answer. What are you going to do with it?
But in the meantime, you gave us an example of when it works. When have you seen the system break down and basically be fatal to a company?
Yeah. I think I've seen it be fatal to organizations and entire industries. So, I mean, the best example is Hurricane Helene. So, Hurricane Helene is coming up through the Gulf of Mexico. It's coming into the Florida Panhandle. And our models all tell us it's going to hit Marion, North Carolina. And that's where we had AI play a huge part in helping our customers to solve the problem, because AI said the critical infrastructure around that facility is, even though that facility is good, even though the company's great, the critical infrastructure, the levees are not prepared for that kind of flooding. And it's going to knock this all out, and you're going to have a mass shortage in IV solutions. And what happened 3 weeks later? Baxter announced a massive shortage and an inability to recover any of our IV solutions. And so patients stopped being able to go in and get the healthcare they needed. I mean, people suffered, people died because we didn't foresee issues in a supply chain. That's a failure of the entire healthcare industry, right? And where I've seen it go right is actually when we've said, okay, let's not map this as a function of risk, but let's actually load all of these into the system and not do what if scenarios. Let's actually have the data inform us on what's probably going to happen and what issues are going to be there. And we've been able to identify some really interesting things, like Russian software in our IC community, as an example. We've been able to get visible because we proactively loaded the products, we proactively analyzed the universe and executed a plan with certain agencies that I won't name. But anyway, I mean, I think it's all about understanding that first you have to get the data in order. Second, you have to actually deploy the AI, and then third, you have to have the execution principles available to start helping you to plan and identify alternative ways to manage that same supply chain.
So with your background in tech, Brandon, I want to get to this. I mean, you taught yourself to code before that was a cool thing.
Before GPT did it for you?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Now it's a useless skill.
but of all the technology that you see in your day job and from your background, what are you most impressed with? What do you think, even with your expertise, and Alex, I'm going to ask you the same question, where you're like, you know what, this is really cool?
Geez, the things that impress me are a little bit like they're way underneath the surface, right? So like things that can take image data and extrapolate principles of engineering. Like we bought this one company, and they had basically turned themselves into sort of integration partner for the government for an artificial intelligence product that they built. And the artificial intelligence product took schematics. I'm talking engineering drawings with all of the arcane specs that are there. And what it did is it read the entire engineering drawing and turned it into a digital twin. And that kind of like image analysis into text analysis into visual data, whoa, I'm blown away by that. It's what I couldn't have even imagined 10 years ago. So that's the kind of stuff that really gets me going, because like the text analytics, I mean, I feel like you probably saw this. Like I saw buds of that in 2005 with like Ingenium that was bought by Kroll, right? So, you kind of saw some of that stuff early on, but the visual data to structured data is unbelievable.
I get super excited by kind of the more macro opportunities, right? If you think about this, and we call them hero problems, but if you fundamentally think about what the technology can do in drug discovery, right? Like, wow, just wait what the future is going to look like. Even today in radiology, where it's actually looking at, images, and it's finding images and then sending it to a human to look at. It's already picking up things that people would have missed many years ago. So, and earlier, right? Think about the lives you'll save there, right? You think about energy exploration and optimization, right? And some of the examples you have, right? And you get to insurance underwriting, right? So these hero problems aren't just, hey, I'm going to be able to do my customer service a little bit better. These hero problems are going to be like, I'm going to fundamentally reshape my industry, right? I'm going to create competitive advantage in a way that I never could. So we get really excited, large scale manufacturing, process manufacturing, but these are the kind of things that people are going to look back and say, wow, that was a game changer, right? And then you add the agent component to this. So you sent me this lovely email that said, hey, here are the questions we're going to talk about today. I said, that's great. We may never get to those, but here are the questions. Why wouldn't my agent have received that email from your agent? My agent then would have looked at everything in my corpus and determined what the right answers for those would have been, communicated back to your agent, who then would have iterated this whole thing, right, while we were enjoying our cappuccino. Like, that's where we're going.
Okay, but then does that mean, this is a very wild card question, which we did not talk about. Does that mean we're all going to be carbon-based pets in 5 years? What's going
No,
on?
I think it's great. I think it's even better, right? I think there's a component which is our skill set will change over time, right? And we'll look for different things. And people always ask, well, does that mean we're going to see less employment, right? The reality is the retail industry today actually employs more people than it did 10 years ago. What do you mean? We buy stuff on our phone. It gets delivered at my home. No, it actually employs more people. So the type of roles in the skills and capabilities will change.
I think there's one other thing I would say, and Alex made me think of it. I think it's truly, so one, I had a Time interviewer ask me, in how many years will AI be able to do my job better than me? And I said, there are two parts to my job. The sort of financial, even what I think is gut decision making, the general, even like, trying to get people hyped up about what it is we're trying to do, the mission we're trying to accomplish. I said, I think AI will do it better than me in 5 years. But will people trust it? And he said, well, then wouldn't AI just talk to AI and trust? And I said, no, because some decisions you make look suboptimal, but achieve optimal outcomes. The first boss that brought me into management 17 years ago, I got to tell you, I was not prepared. It was a suboptimal decision, but it turned out fantastic for that company. We grew it, recapped it for 1.1 billion, recapped it for 2.4 billion. Amazing decision. I wasn't ready. It was a suboptimal decision.
You talked about data earlier. You're saying you would not have passed through your own data metrics.
I wouldn't have. The AI model would have said no way, right? But what Alex said on ratcheting up. So I've long had this theory that I don't believe that there are multiple universes. I think there's one universe, and I think everything always falls to a probabilistic norm. And I've done a bunch of quantum study to try to prove it, and I just don't have the time for the math. So I actually went to GPT. I went to GPT-4, 4.0, and now 0.1, and I did some of the math myself, and then I had it scale the math in Python. And it did. And it's like, this is right. And it complies with Bell's theorem. And it's a valid theory. And yes, you should publish this and you should get it peer reviewed. And then I did it with 4.0, and then I did it for 0.1, and it kept sticking. And then I kept doing more and more math. And I would have never done that. I would have never gone through the process of trying to validate this theory. Now, I don't know if I'll ever use it for anything,
Yeah, so you're
but
saying
it's
theoretical
but-
has a bigger role.
Yeah.
Strategic has a bigger role.
strategic has a huge role, and the practical sort of like doing of those things, you just become a jet engine. You can move through things so much faster.
Brandon, Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.